What's going on, nerds? Welcome back to Comic Book Nerd Nation, episode number 46. I'm Fox2, and today we're here with Topher.
And that is all you
And
need.
that is all.
Ah,
So, Pirate is on his way back from vacation, so that's why he's not here. And then Holef and Brian is actually at the New York Comic Con as we speak. So, hopefully, we will get some coverage from New York Comic Con as far as that goes. And it sounds like next year we will have a press pass to New York Comic Con.
that
Sounds
could
like
be
it.
interesting.
So I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to see how that goes. Maybe we can get some inside scoop type stuff for you guys from there. But in the meantime, we will continue. So what have you been reading this week, Topher?
Oh man, I haven't read much this week. It's been a busy week for things that are not comics. But I still managed to get a few in, and I did make it to the store this week actually. Finally, to pick up all my stuff from last week as well. At which point I found out that the new Thor #1 with the new female Thor
Yeah,
apparently like was gone within the first like 2 or 3 hours. Like they were just
yeah,
gone.
that
So
was a huge
um,
seller.
yeah, so I did not get to see that one. But I did pick up I picked up the first issue of the new Axis crossover that I hope to be able to read one of these days. I'm kind of excited about that one. We'll see how it goes. Then as for what I did read, let's see here. I'm still like stuck a year ago in the comics world, and I was reading Age of Ultron. Actually, I started reading the Age of Ultron event. Um, I'm only like halfway through it at this point. It's interesting, but see what I didn't get. I was reading all the comics like leading up to, or at least I thought leading up to it.
Yeah,
All the comics that came out around the same time, and I kept looking for. I found a few series that had some some tie-in issues to it, and I kept wondering, okay, so what actually leads into
yeah.
this? Like,
Like,
how does
where's
this
the lead
start?
in?
Because most of the time when you have a big event like this, you've got some series, excuse me, that's kind of like the vanguard for it that says, like set something up, and then it says, like continue to your pick up, whatever
Right.
crossover event issue #1, to see what happens next, or some kind of preview thing like that. And there was nothing, and I'm like, well, maybe it's in Avengers because I haven't been reading that a whole lot, and so I'm reading that, and still nothing. And I'm like, what the hell? So I was asking a buddy of mine, and he told me, he's like, yeah, he's like, I wouldn't wait around for that because you're not going to find it. Apparently, the story is it was a story that Brian Michael Bendis pitched a while back, a few years ago, and they had an artist tied to the project, and the artist had done a decent amount of the work, but then ended up getting like sick or something, or was otherwise otherwise unable to complete the project for a long time, and so they pushed it like way the hell back, until it could actually be finished. So apparently, it actually has more to do with events that were happening like a year or two prior to that, before they really launched the whole Marvel Now thing, which. I mean, it wasn't like a New 52,
Right.
reboot,
Right.
but it was kind of like it was one of those things where, like, okay, there's a new status quo. Pretty much the only thing you have to know is there was, that Avengers versus X-Men happened, and Professor X is dead and ready to go. And that was all you pretty much had to know to go from that point on in the Marvel universe. And they switched around authors and creative teams and all kinds of nonsense and started numbering over. So it was like, what does this have to do with anything? And I'll be honest, I'm only halfway through the series, so I still don't know, because it kind of starts in this dystopian future where Ultron has basically taken over, or dystopian present, I guess, technically. Um, So I don't know what relation it has to the main Marvel universe. If it is the main Marvel universe, if it gets undone, if it's an alternate timeline, if there's, I mean, so
What
it's
do you
there.
what do you think of the story so far?
I think it's kind of interesting. Like it's really it's always fun to get to see the bad guy win sometimes, and like see what would the world be like if we, you know, if heroes were if nobody was actually off limits, if you were actually allowed to kill people, if you were actually allowed to, have storylines play out with, how ridiculously better the villain's technology actually is a lot of times, and I'm an X-Men fan, so I remember back in the '90s when the Age of Apocalypse was the big thing, and you got to see the dystopian future where the bad guy was in charge and actually ruled the world, and the world was a giant shithole, and so I mean, like events like these, like they're fun for me. I enjoy it, but I'm only about halfway through it. Basically, they're already hatching a plan now to try and deal with Ultron and find him. And there's already some time travel involved. So
I love the Age of Ultron series. That's probably, I'm trying to think if I can, off the top of my head, think of another Marvel like storyline or story arc that I like more than the Age of Ultron series, and
really,
I'm having a hard time finding one off the top of my head. But that is it's top notch stuff, I think.
yeah, I mean, I've been enjoying it so far. So we'll see how it finishes out. I'm still curious to see how it like ties into the real Marvel universe,
Hmm.
because it's one of those things like they haven't explained it yet. They haven't said, like it didn't start out with the Watcher commenting that we're on like Earth 2719 or something like a
Yeah,
possible alternate so it's like all of a sudden it just starts in the middle of the action with you know um, Peter Parker strapped to a chair, in
yeah,
some beaten down house, with his costume half hanging off of him, completely bloodied, and Hawkeye trying to bust his way in to rescue him, and like just straight up shoots a dude like with an arrow straight through the throat. It's like okay, and
yeah. No
this is
holds
a
barred at this
universe
point.
where no fucks are given, and we survive, and that's basically about it. And then all of a sudden, these Ultron bots come down from the sky and converge on the house, and just blow it to shit. And it's like, all right, we've already we've already set the
Yeah,
bar pretty high here. Like, and it's interesting. It's always fun to see like what characters would do when they're in a situation like that. Like it's like you've got these high and noble personalities on the heroes, like Captain America. It's like what happens when the world actually goes to shit, and the heroes realize, oh hell, we didn't save it. Like it's
yeah. I really
there's some.
like that they put him in a they kind of cast him in a light of doubt at the beginning of that series where I think that you bring up a good point that really sets the tone for like that first book or the second book. I can't remember which one it is. I read it quite some time ago, but uh, where you see Steve Rogers and he just looks like he has completely given up. Like he is completely devoid of all hope at this point that
Yeah,
anything is going to be effective and it's all over. And to see Captain America, like the pinnacle of truth and justice, to be just completely beaten down to the point where he just is like, it's over, we lost. That's, I think, sets the tone quite nicely for that.
yeah, he's sitting in another room, and like he looks just like even like the little wings on his cap are just like
Yeah, they're
just like
like
all
bent
flipped
and
out,
like,
like
yeah.
just kind of dangling all floppily, like aw. It's like the sad Captain America. Like set him on the bench next to Keanu Reeves and take a picture. Like.
God.
So I mean, it was interesting to see that everybody's just standing there in like a sewer or something, and they're like, "So what do we do?" And everybody's like, I don't know. We're waiting for him to come up with a plan,
And
and
he's just
you
kind
look
of
at
sitting there
Rich
like, fuck it,
just
I'm
I'm
done.
sitting there like, oh God, I got nothing. It's like, oh shit, wow, yeah, okay, we're screwed.
Yeah,
So,
it's a pretty
so yeah,
awesome.
I'm eager to finish that one. I think that's pretty much about all that I've really gotten a chance to read this week. Was trying to continue another couple series, but nothing big. Just a couple little issues here and there of some older stuff. So yeah, just trying to catch up on all my Marvel stuff. Uh,
Yeah, I didn't get a chance to read a lot this week. I still have like the Sinestro one shot, which we kind of talked with Brian about last week. And then I have a couple of Batman Eternals. I think two Batman Eternals to get current on that series. And then what I did get to read, well, then plus whatever I haven't purchased from the comic book store, which I think is some Green Lantern Godhead stuff that may have came out. What I have read though this week was the Hulk annual that came out a few weeks ago. Um, was pretty good. I'm not a huge fan of annuals, to be perfectly honest with you. I just don't really care for them typically. That's just my take on it. Um,
yeah, they're different. You've got
Very
this.
different.
They typically tell some random side story, and half the time it's not even the same writer who's writing the series, and it's like,
Yeah,
okay,
this story was good. Basically, the basic premise of it is that this bioscientist, she she somehow turns herself into like plant, like a sentient plant being, like a biocomputer almost. It's really strange. It's really strange. It kind of continues on from the last Hulk annual, which I'm really surprised that I remember that because clearly they come out so infrequently. Um,
would you say they
Come
come out
out
maybe what
month
like
once a
and
year.
monthly, once a year? They
Can't
should have a word for that. Once a year, just
what is that? What is that word? Annual. That's it. Uh,
anally.
Anally. Yes,
Anal?
they come
They
out
come
anally.
out anally. Oh,
Um,
hmm.
that must be a different book. But anyway,
I've heard that book. It's a piece of shit.
it was okay. I liked it, but it wasn't like my favorite story. On the other hand, Savage Hulk #5, I really like where this is going. The premise of this one was that um, Doctor Strange sent the Hulk to a crossroads between dimensions, like between worlds, to where the Hulk would then have the opportunity to go to a number of different planets where supposedly he would not be able to endanger any like life on any of these, and he could,
Except for all the other people stuck in between universes.
I
I mean,
guess,
that
I don't
happens a
know.
lot.
It didn't really it didn't go too far into the storyline. This was clearly just like establishing the direction that this is going to head. And but it looks good. It looks good. I like that they're bringing Doctor Strange into it. He's a very fascinating character to me. It adds a whole nother element to the storyline. It's good. It's good stuff. So I'm really liking the Savage Hulk series. Uh,
I've got all those. I've only read the first two.
so we'll just have to see kind of how it continues. The Hulk titles have been kind of hit and miss over the last year or so, but we'll just have to see how they go forward. That's about all I got a chance to read this week. It was kind of a light week for me as well, but fortunately, there is a pretty decent amount of news, especially since the New York Comic Con is going on right now as we are speaking. Hopefully, we'll get some pictures and some updates from Holef and Brian as soon as tonight. I don't know for sure. I'll have to try and get a hold of him and see what's happening. So let's talk news as it pertains to New York Comic Con itself as a whole. I just found out right before we started recording this, Topher, New York Comic Con, 151,000 attendees this year.
Wow.
Making it now the largest comic book convention in North America. Bigger than San Diego.
It passed San Diego?
It has passed San Diego. What are your thoughts on that?
That's quite a feat. I wonder. I mean, I don't know where it's held, but I wonder if they were trying to do that. I wonder if that was, there's just been such a demand, because I know San Diego actually limited. They limit tickets now. They do they do tickets by lottery now. If you try and buy one, you're pretty much thrown in a queue, and you may or may not actually get a ticket. So I mean, I wonder if they're trying to be the bigger con at this point, or it'll be interesting to see, because San Diego is kind of like the the de facto event. Like, if you have to pick one event, that you're gonna announce your shit at, as a comics creator, San Diego has always been it. But it's also gotten really popular with some things that aren't quite comics, like TV shows, and there was a Breaking Bad panel there last year, like that's, while some people have made some comics based on some of these things,
it's cool,
I wouldn't
but that's
exactly call those comic properties, so San Diego has almost evolved into a bit of more of a more
like
generic,
it's like a pop culture con,
pop culture convention, that's, and especially with how good the comic book movies lately have been, all of Marvel's offerings, and like in DC trying to get some out there too, but having all the great Batman movies, it's like you've actually got mainstream media now covering comic stories, and so that didn't happen 10 years ago, and so it'll be interesting to see if San Diego and New York actually achieve some parity in terms of their importance on the calendar, and or whether it now becomes the more comic focused event going forward. And
I heard, this is a while ago, but I heard that there were some rumors of talks that they were thinking about the possibility of moving the San Diego con to like Los Angeles or somewhere where they could hold it at a much larger scale than what they're doing now. I don't know if that was just like somebody completely totally conjecture or what, but that would be interesting to see too. I mean, where would they take it, and how would that affect the convention? I mean, you think of this, you think of West Coast comic book conventions, immediately you think of San Diego. When you think of Comic-Con, you think of San Diego. You automatically identify it. So how does that potentially change the name, the face, the branding of it if they move it and now it's Los Angeles Comic-Con or Las Vegas Comic-Con or something to that effect?
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be honest, it's occurring to me now that I don't really know a whole lot about the business side of it, like who actually runs that and whatnot. But I can guarantee you the city of San Diego doesn't want to see that convention move.
It is the same owners as the New York Comic-Con. It's the same company.
Right. So, like, would they move it? I don't know. Like Los Angeles, has a lot of people too, so I guess it's always a possibility, but like you said, the branding for one. I mean, San Diego, you can almost just say, you don't even have to say Comic-Con, like when people say Comic-Con, by default they assume you're meaning San Diego. And in the comics world, if you say something about at San Diego, people don't go, oh, did you pick that up and went to like a comic store or something? No, you say you got, you talk about something that happened in the comics at San Diego, you're talking about Comic-Con.
Yeah.
So it's almost impossible to separate the two. They're forever associated with each other. So yeah, I mean it'd be a huge hit to the status quo, and we know how much comics love the status quo. So.
Let's see. Moving on to, let's talk about the Flash TV show. Now, have you seen the first episode of the Flash television show?
I have not.
Okay, we should
Now,
be able to
I have
get
a
through.
question about that actually.
Okay.
Does the Flash show? I know it's connected with Arrow, correct? They
To a degree, yes.
Universe.
To a degree, yes.
Okay, so if you were to watch the Flash show, because I still have yet to actually start on Arrow. I will watch
You
it.
can
but,
start.
Can I start watching the
Yes.
Flash, or is it going to spoil things
No.
that happened already in Arrow?
No.
So there you go, everybody. You can go ahead and start watching Flash now if you've not seen Arrow.
Yeah,
And
you
I
can watch.
it together.
You can watch Flash. Now, in episode 8 of the Flash, there's going to be a crossover event with Oliver Queen from Arrow. So, I would personally recommend binge watching some Arrow and get through the first 2 seasons of Arrow before you get up to episode 8 of The Flash, so you can kind of have the background of how those 2 characters have already, kind of how they've came together and worked together in the past. So you can get that history in there. So I think we can make it through this discussion without giving you too many spoilers about the first episode of Flash or anything like that, Topher. So don't worry there. First and foremost, the Flash premiere got better ratings than Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which is
That doesn't
huge.
surprise me, to be honest.
I think it's kind of surprising based on the fact that Shield is on Agents of Shield is on Fox, correct?
No, ABC.
ABC, and the Flash TV show is on CW, which is a far smaller network available in far fewer locations, and it from what I understand, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I want to say that I was told that Flash got like a 4.8 and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. got like a 3 or something, or a 2 something. I can't remember, but it was a significant difference between the two. I think this shows a lot of promise for the CW and comic book TV shows, especially now that they have, like you said, Arrow and Flash kind of working in tandem, and it's same universe, different cities. So you can get some back and forth action. Is this something you're going to be watching, or?
Yeah, I have the first episode recorded. I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But no, I mean it looks cool. Do you remember the old Flash TV series, like in the early '90s? I think
I do. Unfortunately,
I see. I liked it. I was a little kid.
Yeah, I mean, yes, I liked it too, but it just like the Spider-Man TV movies. It just doesn't hold up anymore.
I mean, I'm sure it doesn't hold up, and I remember like maybe one scene from that entire show. So I'm sure if I went back and watched it now, I'd be like, "What is this piece of shit?" But
don't do it. You'll ruin your childhood.
Yeah, let's just keep looking at that through the rose tinted glasses of my nostalgic memory here. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm a comic book fan. I can't get enough of TV and movies, all this stuff, like revolving around this stuff. So I mean, they could make a completely crappy series, and I'm still gonna watch it because I either want to see it or I want to make fun of it or I at least want to talk about it. So.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna end up watching them all, and then Constantine's supposed to start here soon as well.
It is. Hang on, before we talk Constantine, I've got more Flash news. A bunch of Flash stuff came out. So, did you see the pictures of Reverse Flash on set? So we got our first glimpse of
I did.
Reverse Flash and his outfit that's going to be on the Flash TV show. I think it looks fucking awesome. It's not straight out of the comics, but it is. It's pretty badass. It's like yellow at the top, fading to like a black down at the boots, with the reversed Flash symbol with the red lightning bolt on the chest. I think it looks great.
It looked pretty neat to me. Now, who exactly is Reverse Flash?
Reverse. I don't read enough Flash to give you a full blown history lesson on. I'm not even going to pretend, but I know that he is like.
Well, I was hoping that you
he is like the arch nemesis of Flash, and I believe he is. He was the person that started the Flashpoint crisis.
And see, I thought that's who it was, but I can't remember. There's somebody else. Wasn't there a
Captain Cold is also one of the main villains of the series, and there are pictures out of Captain Cold on set as well.
Captain Cold? I'm familiar with. Okay. See, I was confused, and this is what I thought. Okay, Reverse Flash is also sometimes known as Professor Zoom.
Professor Zoom. Okay, gotcha.
At least one of them. I guess there's a couple different ones. But yeah, that's the name I had heard before. So
I see. On top of that news, more Flash news. Victor Garber, actor Victor Garber, has been cast to play Dr. Martin Stein on the Flash TV show. And as you know, or may not know, Dr. Stein is one half of the Firestorm character.
Ah, yes.
So we are going to be seeing Firestorm on the Flash TV show as well. The Flash show is shaping up to be pretty goddamn awesome, I think.
Yeah, see that brings up a point that I've made before, and not to immediately bash what DC's doing here, because I don't want to make it sound like we keep doing that, but my biggest concern with how DC's approaching all their properties is still that they're not trying to create a cohesive universe, and they're trying to have all these separate properties, and they keep going, I don't know about overboard, but it seems like they keep trying to grab and claim as many. It's almost like picking teams for kickball at recess,
Yeah.
Like, you've got the guy who's running the Flash TV show, and you've got the guy who's doing the Justice League movie, and they're like picking teams. They're like Wonder Woman. Okay, I get Harley Quinn. Oh shoot, damn it! I wanted Harley Quinn. You're not even running a Batman show. Like, what? The guy from Gotham's over there bitching. Like, wait, how come Arrow gets Harley Quinn? Like, I'm running the Batman show, and then so he picks somebody, and then they're like, well, we get Firestar, and it's like, wow.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I don't think kind of the way that I'm reading into this is that they announced who's going to play Dr. Martin Stein, which means that we might not even see Firestorm. And if we do, it might not be for potentially multiple seasons, multiple years into the future. So I think that, while any of us that are comic book fans, we hear that name and we're like, oh shit, that's Firestorm. And we automatically assume that means that, like, episode 9, we're going to see Firestorm or something like that. That's not necessarily the case. That's what we have to kind of keep in the back of our head, is that, they can slow roll some of this stuff too and develop, especially a character like that, they can develop the two separate characters of Firestorm that make Firestorm, and they can give you a background. And that background could take, 2 episodes. It could take 6 seasons to establish the actual Firestorm character. So I don't think it's necessarily something that's going to just come across as like the grab bag, overwhelming, like, this week it's this main character, next week it's that main character, then it's this one, and then this one. I don't think they do a good enough job of avoiding that on the Arrow television show that I have to assume that the producers and everybody and the writers at CW would have the common sense not to just completely character overload the stories and the scripts for the Flash show. But we'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, I hope so, and I hope it turns out well for everything. I hope the movies are great. I hope the shows are awesome. It seems like there's almost this scoop, this grab,
Yeah,
to try
yeah,
and pull in every character possible. And it's like we get that you want to get your characters out there, and we get that it's exciting to see them, but I just worry that not enough forethought has gone into it, to say, okay, well, if we put, Firestorm in this, if we want to use him for a Justice League movie, is that going to be confusing as fuck to people if it's not the same character,
yeah.
So,
That's true. That's a good point. That's a point that I think a lot of people have been kind of wrestling with. Now, here is something that I know for a fact that you will be excited to hear, and I hope that you haven't heard it yet. There,
oh, this could
there
be
are
breaking news.
rumors. There are rumors coming out from Entertainment Weekly, which is a relatively credible source within the Hollywood community.
I
That
believe they got the first picture. Their cover picture was the first shot of the
of Age of Ultron.
Ultron design
That's correct.
for the next Avengers movie.
Exactly. So this is a relatively credible source. Rumors coming from Entertainment Weekly that Sony is in early preliminary talks with Marvel Studios about a possible Spider-Man and Avengers crossover film.
Yeah, I hadn't actually heard it put like that. So that's slightly new to me. There were rumors last week that Sony and Marvel had mentioned, that they were interested in getting and being able to have all their characters, for to play around with in the movies, and their relationship with Sony's always been a lot better than it has been with Fox. So I can see how it's in both their favors to do something like that. Like fans want to see Spider-Man done right. They want to see Spider-Man interact with other people. Like we were talking. You and I were talking a week or two ago about how we like seeing Spider-Man. Spider-Man's awesome on his own, but we love seeing Spider-Man with a team.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
like seeing Spider-Man play off of other people, and so having him interact with a team, with some of these other actors would be incredible. So, I mean, I hope that's true. I hope something comes out of that. Sony didn't exactly. I mean, they did decently well at the box office with Amazing Spider-Man 2, but a lot of people did not think that it was the movie that it could have been. And they've kind of shuffled around their releases schedule now for some of their future projects like Sinister Six, and it might be a little while before they actually do another Spider-Man 3 movie. So I think they're kind of like willing to accept some assistance on, like, clearly Marvel, you guys have the formula. If you
Yeah,
want to share,
yeah.
we're all about like sharing in the profits from it. So I mean, I think that's a win-win-win because Sony, Marvel, and the fans
I
should
am
benefit from that.
I am finding myself surprisingly excited for this already. I'm not a huge Spider-Man fan. I mean, I have seen Amazing Spider-Man and Amazing Spider-Man 2. I've seen all the Spider-Mans except for the Venom one that everybody tells me is just terrible. Um, I mean, I'm sure I'll probably see it at some point. I just haven't gotten
I
around
mean,
to it.
it's no Wolverine Origins, but
But the potential of seeing the Avengers cast that I already know and I know that I love, um, interacting with, like you said, that kind of witty comeback, young, energetic Spider-Man character, I think would make for a very, very entertaining movie. Um, I think it would have a lot of comedy moments in it, and I think it would be very fun. I think it would be a very, very fun, enjoyable experience to see something like that.
you know, and Marvel's done a great job of making all their characters kind of funny. Not necessarily class clowns, but able to crack a joke and
Yeah, with the time
Iron
right.
Man, the Iron Man movies, the Thor movies, they're still fairly lighthearted. There's a lot of shit that happens in them. There's a lot of serious stuff that goes down. There are some darker periods, but we're not talking about like Dark Knight here or the Superman movie, the most recent Superman, Man of Steel. Like those movies are pretty much very serious tone like throughout. You're not going to find somebody just all of a sudden cracking a joke, and it doesn't happen. So Marvel has had this somewhat lighthearted tone, in the background of all their movies, and so it might be interesting to see if you have Spider-Man in a movie like that, you put him in with the Avengers, and will he really stand out as the funny one at this point?
I don't think so. I think he would
Robert
just
Downey Jr. has already kind of like, he's
taken
already
that role, yeah.
jokes and taking kind of like the guy who's not necessarily, the guy who acts like he's not taking it seriously. The Avengers have one of those already, so I wonder whether it would play out the same, because the personality roles are a little different.
See, I think it would. I think Spider-Man's attitude in an Avengers movie would kind of enable the Robert Downey Jr. Tony Stark attitude, and it would just elevate that nonchalance, like kind of goofy, like we're better, we're smarter, because Peter Parker is also incredibly intelligent and stuff, and immediately you have to assume that Tony Stark is going to gravitate towards talking to him versus talking to like Thor or
Right.
one of the other people that can't talk shop, so to speak. So I think that the witty banter will be turned up from like a 3 that you might see in a regular Avengers movie to like a 7, because I think the two characters combined would just kind of feed off of each other, and I think that it would cause some really funny, comical, interesting inner conflict within the Avengers group that wouldn't be like serious conflict, but more along the lines of like, God, these two fuckers are annoying, or something to that effect, So I don't know. We'll have to see. It's just, again, this is all complete rumor at this point, coming from Entertainment Weekly. But I do have to believe that they are closely knit within the Hollywood community, that they would be the people that would know if there were preliminary talks going on. And the article that I read did say that the talks that are happening between Sony and Marvel Studios are still quite fragile at this point. So it's, this may not happen, but I think it would make a shit ton of money, and it would make a lot of comic book fans happy across the world. Speaking of fun Marvel movies, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Everybody on the podcast absolutely loved that movie. There's good news if you're a Guardians of the Galaxy fan. Marvel has announced that there will be a dancing baby Groot toy available this Christmas season for approximately $15, and it will play the song that you heard in the movie from Jackson 5 while Baby Groot dances back and forth.
I mean, I don't. I'm honestly surprised it took them this long.
I will absolutely be purchasing this.
Oh, I'm like buying.
I might have to get one for at my house and one for at my desk at work.
One for my desk at work. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna buy like a whole case of them and like hand them out as party favors to people. I mean, they're too awesome. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I really don't know why it took them this long. I mean, I guess if they wanted to get it out like in time for for Christmas shopping, that kind of makes sense. Let the demand build up. But a lot of people have been saying, why can't I buy this? And there's been people trying to make
a ton of money on
knockoffs and whatnot. Well, did you see? I didn't get a chance to take a picture of it, but there was actually someone at Cincinnati Comic Expo a few weeks ago that was they were cosplaying as Dancing Baby Groot.
Oh,
It
that's
was kind of fantastic.
fantastic.
Oh, it was brilliant. They had like one of those big pots, like one of the big jugs that you can buy. I mean, it had to have been made out of cardboard or something, because like the giant stoneware ones that you can buy at like Home Depot and Lowe's would be way too heavy. But anyway, so they had this big like pot like around their waist, and they were wearing like kind of like I mean, it was almost like a ghillie suit, like they had like the moss and the tree, and like they did themselves up so well, like, and so like it's just their waist sticking up out of it, and they had a little boombox there, like a little thing, a couple little speakers,
Just playing Jackson 5 over and over.
yeah, playing that song over on repeat. I said boombox.
Oh, wow.
1991.
Yeah.
So anyways, they had some
They'd like their
speakers.
technology back.
And they'd walk around and they'd hit play, and then they'd just start like dancing to the song. It was fantastic. Like I don't even know if it was male or female, because they were way too much costume to tell. But it's like they had a following. There were people like just walking around, like dancing around with it.
That is fantastic. That's
It was
great.
pretty awesome. So I mean, like clearly this is something that
This is
excites
definitely a
people,
thing.
and that we really need to cash in on. I mean, it's only going to be like $15 too.
Yeah, for
Which
$15, that's
yeah.
a steal. I'm all about it. Um,
Speaking of Guardians of the Galaxy, and Comic Con, they were showing some footage of the new animated series
yeah, that looks badass.
Disney XD, and animation looks pretty cool. I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of animated stuff that's going to be coming out soon that looks really good. Continuing down the Marvel train. This is almost like the Marvel episode here. This is like
Well,
perfect
you know,
for
you are talking to me, so
Mr.
my
Marvel himself. Um, Marvel Experience. This is, in my opinion, a groundbreaking event. Have you heard about the Marvel Experience? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I think we've talked about it a few times.
Where
I
they're
don't
going
know
to have
what all they're
like
going to have there, but
3D shows and things of this nature. Tickets are finally on sale in select
ooh,
locations. Right now, it's only out on the West Coast and like Texas, and I think maybe Colorado might be having one showing. So if you're living out on the West Coast and you're listening to the podcast, check it out. Google Marvel Experience. I know for sure that the tickets are definitely on sale. I checked it out on my phone last night. VIP tickets are $99 a piece. I might have to spring for that.
what are the standard tickets?
I didn't even look.
And what does VIP get you?
Well, you get your own like reserved parking spot. You get there's a VIP bathroom. You
VIP
get
bathroom?
a print.
Do they like
You get like a
wipe your
Marvel.
ass with old issues
Yeah, I
of,
don't know.
of X-Men or something?
They give you a print signed by the artist, like a Marvel Experience print. I believe a T-shirt of some sort. Another piece of, I don't know. You have to check out the website. It was like 4 or 5 collectible type things. Plus, you get to you don't have to select a time of the show that you want to go to. You can just show up during the event, and you automatically get preference.
So here's a question for you.
Okay.
If they're doing something like this Marvel Experience, and they make like some videos, or you know, any kind of interactive show or something, even like part live action and a video in the background, or like theme parks. If you've ever been to Universal Studios in Orlando, they have a Marvel section where there's like there's a Spider-Man ride, and there's like animation on a video screen behind it while you're doing it. It makes me wonder, like, can they create some of their own properties with Fox and Sony having rights to Fantastic Four and
They've got
X-Men
Spider-Man
and
on the fucking page.
Okay. And it just makes me wonder, like, how far does that reach? Like, what can they not do?
I
I
don't
mean, because
know.
those contracts were written pretty not in Marvel's favor back in the day, because they were basically bankrupt at the time, and they were just trying to sell whatever the hell they could sell to make some money,
Yeah.
and it's really biting them in the ass now. But it just makes me wonder, like, how much cooler things could be if they could actually have access to all their stuff.
Here's the okay. So here is the brief description of the Marvel Experience VIP. Now you can join forces with Marvel's mightiest heroes on a mission to save the planet. As Shield's newest recruit, you'll swing with Spider-Man, smash with Hulk, and fly with Iron Man in next-generation hyper reality. Your adventure will take you through 7 colossal domes as you train for a climactic battle against Hydra and its army of evil adaptoids. Along the way, you'll experience the world's only 360-degree 3D stereoscopic theater and state-of-the-art 4D motion ride.
Hmm. Sounds cool.
So it looks like it's in Dallas, San Diego, San Francisco, and Phoenix is where they're currently at right now. And here's what you get with a $99. I'm looking at the Dallas VIP package right now. I would assume they're all the same, but looks like there's actually 2 levels of VIP. So you have the Shield Special Operative VIP package for $99. You get 1 pass, access to the VIP lounge with cash bar, charging station, coat check, VIP bathroom, blah, blah, blah. Priority access into the experience and the Simularium Theater. 1 limited edition Marvel Experience screen print poster signed and numbered by the artist. 1 Spider-Man climbing wall photo puts you in the action high above the city. 1 customized merchandise item to commemorate your heroic day. Premium parking. And that's it for that. Then they have the Shield Level 9 VIP package, which looks to have everything in the last one, with addition to 1 official Shield badge with case, your Shield recruit picture featured throughout the domed complex, and that's about it. So for an extra $80, you can get a badge and other people can see your recruit photo.
Wow.
That kind of doesn't seem worth it.
I mean, the whole thing sounds kind of neat, though. But like
and you get your own personal concierge.
like I said, Marvel has been a lot friendlier with Sony over Spider-Man than they have with Fox, and you'll notice what that description did not contain. And
anything to do with Fantastic Four.
Anything to do with Fantastic Four or the X-Men.
Yeah, so I am really hoping that this isn't going to be something that's limited to West Coast and it comes, across the country. I won't be so greedy as to say that I hope that it only comes to where we're at. I hope that they branch this out and manage to get it close enough to everybody, to where everybody that wants to see it can see it.
Well, these aren't. It's not meant to be a permanent thing, correct?
Correct. It's a temporary.
So yeah, I imagine they they don't want to create 27 different copies of all this equipment and install it all in a separate place for a week.
I think it's just one. I think it's just one set of equipment. Looking at the schedule, it's going to be in Arizona from December 12th to January 3rd.
Right.
Then,
well, that's what I was saying. I'm sure they're going to be moving it around.
Yeah.
So
then it goes to Dallas, then Del Mar, then San Francisco. So it doesn't even look like there's any overlap. So as of right now, the schedule is out to March 22nd. It begins on December 12th, and they have the schedule out to March 22nd. So I imagine within a month or two, they'll add another location or 2 potentially. So hopefully it'll be something closer to us.
Hopefully it keeps creeping our way.
Yeah. By 2027, we should be able to check that out. So that's about all I've got for the news this week. I know it was kind of a lot, but there's a lot of exciting stuff. And hopefully, like I said, we'll have some more exciting stuff on the Facebook page as it pertains to now the largest comic book convention in North America, the New York Comic Con. Whole F and Brian that is there this week, as well as Chuck from comicrelated.com, where you can find our podcast every week as well. And also Sean Forney, friend of Comic Book Nerd Nation, is out at New York Comic Con. We're missing out, man. We got to get our asses out there next year.
Maybe next year.
That's what I'm saying. All right, that's it for this week. I'm Fox 2. We got Topher. You're not going to say goodbye, Topher?
You cut out there for a second. I missed it.
That's all right.
I guess I dropped the ball I don't get a goodbye. I had my opportunity, and I had one job. One job.
You did have one job. All you had to do is say goodbye. All right. We'll see you guys next week.